Hey, what's going on, everybody? Ryan Newpel here, Knup Sports Show, episode 199. Thanks so much for tuning in. Really appreciate everyone that gives a little bit of attention to this little show. We're nearing 200, which is going to be awesome. I got a very special guest coming on for 200, so I'm excited for that. But we're not going to look too far ahead because today I got number 199. I got none other than Rourke Struthers on the line here with me. Rourke, how are you today, my friend?
Doing very well, Ryan. Doing very well. How's everything with you?
Oh, doing amazing here in Florida. Rourke, I'm excited to have you on and get to know you a little bit. You're with GameBlazers, so we'll talk a lot more about GameBlazers. That's a tongue twister for me. GameBlazers here in a bit. But first off, I want to hear a little bit about yourself and what kind of brought you to where you are today, Rourke. So why don't you give me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, thanks, Ryan, so much for having me. I think this is a great opportunity. I love the show myself, and I'm really looking forward to it. So,
Appreciate it. I'm excited to dive in here.
yeah, of course. So, my background is pretty generic for a lot of people in finance or in business. I went to Penn State. I was a double major there. I worked in private equity and consulting after that. And while I worked in consulting, myself and a couple of our co-founders, we started the NFT League. The NFT League was a fantasy product that, we thought had a lot of different application, and we built in some pretty cool video game mechanics into it. And from there, we tried to link up with a couple of really cool projects and companies in the NFT space, and we came across MetaFans, where we ended up having a nice merger and acquisition, and now I lead the newly formed company called GameBlazers. And so we'll be releasing our new fantasy product at the end of this year or towards the start of the football season in the fall. And so I'm really looking forward to everything. I think with something like GameBlazers, it's something that's so new and that's something that's so different in the space. I think that there's a really cool opportunity. And then that's, really why I'm here.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for that background. And we were talking before offline that I'm actually a part of the MetaFans community, and I invested in that NFT back, I think, at Mint, so in the beginning days. And so a super cool project. I can't say I've been overly engaged. I've been one of those kind of watching from the sidelines, but I do own a few MetaFans. So I'm excited to hear how all of this is connected into GameBlazers and all of the above. I'm sure there's going to be some connections made, but kind of fun when you have like kind of connections and you don't even know you have connections, right?
Absolutely. And I think, when you look at the fantasy space and just like the world out there today, there's so many cool things and opportunities and companies that are doing innovative stuff. And I think if you're really looking to find something new and innovative, there's always something out there, right? Like I love the idea that we're already living in the future. You just have to go and find it. And I think that really kind of speaks to that.
Yeah, and the whole NFT Web3 space, merging that with fantasy sports and all of the above is super cutting edge and next level thinking. And I'm really excited for all that innovation as well. I could talk for hours and days about just where that's headed, but today we'll try to stay a little focused, I guess, because I'm sure you seem like one of those guys that could talk forever about that.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a real generalist, and like I just love anything new and different. I think blockchain has a lot of really interesting applications, and I think the world that we live in, there's always new things that are coming up and new opportunity sets. And so anytime that you can take the opportunity to use technology in a better and improved way and add more value, I'm all about that.
So explain to me a little bit about GameBlazers. I'm going to pull it up here. I know you guys are coming soon and you're just now getting started, but I'll pull up the landing page here regardless.
Yeah, for sure.
Give me the high level pitch of what GameBlazers is for everybody listening here.
Yeah, for sure. So GameBlazers and what we've really done from a concept side is we took the idea of trading cards and we combined it with fantasy sports to create something that's completely different in the ecosystem today. I'm not sure if you've heard of, MMOs. They're called massive multiplayer online games. What we really are trying to do with GameBlazers is allow people to kind of have that same experience in a sports setting and in a sports game. What we've really tried to do is innovate on our gameplay mechanics and our game design to ensure that there's sustainable use year over year. So we have different multipliers for our players. We have season-long and weekly competition types. We've really done a lot of things to make sure that the game itself is built for sustainability. So some of our cards we can use year over year. Some of the cards have single year use. That gives us a lot of different flexibility. And so really what we're trying to do with GameBlazers is give players the control that they deserve, right? What we're really trying to do is allow players to become the owner, the GM, and the coach of their fantasy franchise. And I think that's something that's really different from what's currently out there in the fantasy space.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's awesome. So where are you at in the product life cycle? I mean, it says coming soon here, and I'm assuming you guys are working diligently, but what's the status of where you guys are at from a developmental cycle?
Yeah, of course. So we're actually much further along than our landing page would indicate. For us, like one of the things that I think is really important to GameBlazers is making sure that, you know, we talk about it and we give pieces of information and breadcrumbs, but we don't want to spoil the surprise, right?
Yeah.
We think there's a lot of really cool features and functionality that we've built in, and we have a really interesting value proposition for people. And, you know, I think some of that touches on what I mentioned before around our gameplay mechanics and our game design and, you know, the asset ownership of owning these players. And so with something like that, that's so different and that's so innovative, there can be a lot of intricacies and details. So we're very far along in the development process. We're actually just making more of our finishing touches, and we're looking for a soft launch and a hard launch in the month of June. So very, very excited for that, and be sure for everybody to look out for on our social pages and our Discord for those announcements.
Yeah, of course. Got to make sure you get it out before football, right?
Of course.
I always, just a still side note, but I always love how, you know, the U.S. sports cycle of just sports interest, right? And all the companies that, you know, it's like April, May hits and everybody's like, I'll take a breather for a few months, but we have to have everything ready by July or August, right? When football comes. So it's
totally.
But it makes sense, right? It makes sense.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the actually like the really cool things about being in sports gaming and just sports development is that you do have those off-season times where you can really kind of flip and turn the product. And I think something like that, and for our product especially, I think it actually gives us a lot of like opportunity, right? Because you take in the feedback that happens throughout the year, and then you can really iterate on it, and then you can release something new for the next season where people are like, oh wow, I can see the changes visibly, you know, and I think that helps a lot.
Yeah, there's so many choices now in gaming and fantasy sports and all of the above. One of my questions for you, and you kind of touched on it, but I want you to expand a little more, is, you know, as you guys get closer to launch date, why would somebody choose GameBlazers over the dozens of other, you know, products that are out there? What are the unique selling points that somebody would really be interested in jumping on with the GameBlazers crew?
Yeah, totally. Great question. I really appreciate it, Ryan. I think for us, you know, it really revolves around those three key points that I mentioned before is our gameplay mechanics, our gameplay design, and our asset ownership. When you take a look at our gameplay mechanics, what we did is we allowed for all of our players and our cards to have multipliers attached to them. And that might sound like a little odd, like why would you want to have a multiplier attached in fantasy? But when you think about the concept, I think it makes a lot of sense, right? You have a bunch of different levels for these players, and allows you to have a lot of variety in terms of point scoring, right? Traditional fantasy is only played with one player. And once that player's off the board, you can't get them anymore. And I think that lends itself to a confined space where you can only play with your 10 or 12 friends, right? How do you kind of open that up and provide more variation in lineup setting and how people are designing their teams and their franchises? And so that's what I think multipliers really allows us to do. It allows us to also expand the player pool, because some of those players that might be lower on the top 100 board, but are still, you know, really useful or can be useful with a multiplier, become useful. So that's one aspect of it. And we also have different features like different boosts and things like that. And we also built in like a battle pass player mechanic progression path where players can earn over time, and you're actually benefiting from playing in the ecosystem and being a part of the ecosystem, which we think is, you know, really compelling. And we've done a lot from a video game side, right? We've looked at video game mechanics and video game design to help inform what we're doing from a product side. So that really encompasses a lot of our gameplay mechanics. And then when you look at our game design, what we've done is we've really brought on people that know what they're doing. We've brought on consultants to help us with the actual card distributions, how players are entering or exiting the ecosystem, and, you know, former game designers for FIFA Ultimate Team. So we're really taking all of the steps to make sure that this is a robust and sustainable mechanism, and that there's not just very little thinking going in, right? And like I said, when you look at a lot of the different competition that's out there, a lot of the products are just one variation or another off of the same similar concept.
Yeah.
What we really wanted to do was kind of switch it up and take some of these different things and make sure that we can expand on them and develop them further. And then from an asset ownership side, you own your players, so you buy and sell players on our marketplace. You have the ability to actually design your fantasy franchise. Your decision making and skillful decision making is really what dictates how you perform. And that's something I think is really, really compelling for people, because over time you accrue value, right? Your franchise accrues value. You pick up new players, you pick up more boosts, things like that allows you to really navigate the environment in ways that don't really exist with any other product out there.
Yeah, I want you to expand a little bit on the asset ownership side, because that's really intriguing to me. Are you referring to, you mentioned cards, right? Having cards. Are you referring to physical cards, or are you
no
everything in the blockchain, or everything? Is there blockchain in any of this, or are we expand on that piece? Because I know,
yeah, for sure.
I'm not sure how to clearly frame my question, but I want to hear a little bit more about the asset ownership side of things.
Yeah, totally. So like I mentioned, so the NFT League and what we had started out was, it was an all Web3 platform.
Yeah.
And with that, we learned a lot of different things, and we were able to really take a lot of feedback from that and design the game further. But we've decided to move away from the cards being NFTs themselves and making them just more digitized, because we think that NFTs provide a lot of really good use cases, but for some of the mechanics that we wanted to create, they just weren't really useful for us.
Okay.
And so what we do have is we do have blockchain like connect wallet functionality to the product, because we want people to be able to create contests that are gated for a specific type of NFT project, right?
Sure.
So for example, if you're a product that's out there and you want to have your own kind of football league or your own product, let me know. I'd love to talk to you about it. And that's a way that we can kind of maybe set up something that's specific for your product or company. Sure. So there's that side, the technology side of it. And then from like the actual design and from an asset ownership perspective, you own your cards, right? So you as the user, your cards are able to be played in competitions, in leagues, in mini games, used on the platform however you choose. Like I said, you can buy and sell them. So when we talk about asset ownership, it's really just giving control, like I said, back to those players, and allowing them to kind of make those decisions off of that. And it also allows, I think, for people to kind of to really feel like they're making a difference, right? Sure. Like they're benefiting from their knowledge base and what they know about sports. And again, that's something that lacks a lot when you look at fantasy. Like, it's not just clicking a button on a screen and then putting a player in a lineup. It's like, what are the decisions I actually have to make? What is the lineups that I want to set? Does it make sense for me to, buy some other player, sell this player to get resources, right? It's really more strategy behind it.
Yep. Wow. So you guys got a lot going on, any entrepreneurial venture, any new startup, anything, there's always challenges, always things that go into that. I'm curious, what one of the biggest challenges you guys are facing maybe currently that maybe this audience could potentially help with. I mean, are there certain things that you guys are looking for that you're just having struggles with, or where does, and don't tell me there's no challenges, because I know there is.
There's always challenges. I think we could probably
give me something that's kind of you guys are either looking for or challenged with currently.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, honestly, I think I could probably talk for 30 minutes just on the challenges that we face, and I think, that's the part of why we do this, right? Like you don't try and run a startup or run your own business. I mean, I'm sure as you yourself have done with the show, that unless you're really confident that you can do it and you can get it done. Sure. So I think for us, one of the biggest issues or concerns or problems that we face is just actually being able to differentiate ourselves and concisely get across what GameBlazers is, right? Yep. When you start building a product that has so many different layers and is so like multifaceted, it can be difficult to consume. But making sure that we can get it down into bite-sized pieces and chunks and allowing people to kind of find what works for them or what's the value proposition for them is something that's been really, really important for us and something that we're going to continue to focus on. I think with the product, because it kind of touches, fantasy, it touches video games and gaming, and it touches collectibles and all of these other aspects. There's so many different markets and industries that are coming together to mix here. And so there's a lot of different possibilities around, value proposition. If you're someone who loves cards and just collecting things, there's, the fact that you have these physical assets like is appealing to you. If you're someone who plays fantasy, obviously very much, appealing to you. And we look at ourselves as a fantasy game first and foremost, but we're not naive to think that there's other aspects of the product that would appeal to people from a bunch of different backgrounds, right?
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. So you're on a race here to get things done by the middle June, end of June, whatever, like before football season.
Yep.
Then comes the real challenge, right? Then
Yes.
comes the real challenge. And I always say this to startups and other companies that are jumping in, just getting any sort of market share and getting your name out there and really just getting people to care, right? I mean, you can make people knowledgeable, you can have the best product, but how do you get that attention on yourself? I'd like to hear a little bit about what you guys' plans are. I'm sure you've already talked a little bit about that, about the marketing side of it and how you're going to really try to get that attention over those 2-3 months leading up to football season.
Yeah. So, I really appreciate the question because I think, this is probably the other issue that we have or another concern, right? Like, how do we actually reach our target market and get to the target audience base? And I think it's tricky because you have to really figure out what works best for your company. And I think for us, one of the things that's super important is just partnering and finding the right strategic people to partner with over time, right? We worked with a couple of people that have been on your show in the past. We worked with Hot Paper Lantern and Mike and his team. And so just trying to find people that actually not just like the concept or that think the concept is cool, but we feel like can be sustainable partners over time. I think for us, we want to also be able to meet the people where they're at. Right. So we're going to make sure that we go and look at social media influencers and doing things that are becoming more mainstream today, but, with certain strategic focuses and making sure you find the right people. It's very important, right? Because with people today and with all these different products out there, you want to make sure you're buying something that it is known, right? Isn't just some random thing or just popped out of nowhere and that there's nothing behind it, right? And I think just finding people that can validate us and can work with us over time and grow into it, right? I think that's really important. So that's kind of how we're doing things. I almost like to try and take a Stripe approach to it, find people that are early on in their journeys, other startups, partner with them, and then over time we can kind of grow each other's user bases together.
I love it, my friend. Well, Rourke, you're definitely on a journey here. I'm excited to see where GameBlazers goes, and I think it's going to be an awesome addition to this. I would just say this whole like ecosystem, right? We have this ecosystem of apps and products and programs and games and all of the above, and I just love when good people are doing amazing things, and it looks like you guys have something awesome coming. So I'm excited for it. I know you're a busy man. I know I typically try to keep these to 20 minutes or less, but I want to open this up for. What did I miss? Any last words? Anything that you wanted to say that maybe I didn't touch on that's still on your mind?
Yeah, no, I just think for us, like I said, we're a fantasy product first, we're a fantasy game first and foremost. But there's a lot of different aspects to the product that I think can appeal to everyone. And there is something for everybody. Like I said, there's a lot of different facets to the game. There's free to play games, there's pay to play games, there's progression pass and battle passes and ways for you to earn as a player over time. So there's a lot of different functionality and time that we've spent in developing this. And I think if you're really somebody who's just a sports fan, generally you want to play more, you want to engage more with the platform or just any platform that provides value consistent with, the product and the price that you would pay, definitely come and check us out. GameBlazers.com is our landing page, sign up. And we'll be sending out some correspondence soon to get some stuff out there. Hopefully, we can get people on the platform purchasing packs relatively soon. So just really looking forward to that.
Heck yeah, GameBlazers.com. We'll put the link in the show notes as well. But go out there, get on the email list so you don't miss the launch date. It's always fun getting in things right when they start too, because you kind of can see it from the ground up and see where it leads. And I love being a part of things like this when they start. So
yeah,
encourage everybody to head out there and do that.
For sure. Like I said, if you want to be the owner, the GM, and the coach of your fantasy franchise, come check us out. I mean, there's no one else that allows you to do it other than GameBlazers.
Cool, Rourke. Well, and if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, what would be the best way of getting a hold of you personally to chat more about GameBlazers?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm at __Rourke _. I tried to get Rourke, but somebody refuses to respond back to me. So that was my little workaround. Or you can email me at rourke@gameblazers.com. Happy to answer and talk to anybody about the product. If anything you're interested in, partners, anybody. I'm really an open book. we're really looking forward to this opportunity and making the most of it. And like I said, if you're interested in being the owner, the GM, and coach of your fantasy franchise, come check us out.
I love it. Rourke, I appreciate your time here today. I'm looking forward to catching up in a year when you guys are in the next phase of business.
Absolutely. Really, really appreciate your time today, Ryan. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Rourke. Have a great one. All right, everybody. That was Rourke Struthers, episode 199, GameBlazers.com. Go check it out. Join the next generation of fantasy sports. I'm excited to see where that leads. It should be an awesome product. Obviously, just as the first time I've met Rourke, it seems like an awesome individual who's doing some big things. So I encourage you to reach out to him as well and get to know him a little bit. I'm excited to connect and network a little bit more with him myself as time goes on here. All right, that's 199. It's in the books. I mentioned we have a special guest for number 200. It's near and dear to my heart, so I'm excited to have number 200. We'll do that probably mid next week or maybe early next week. So be sure to look out for that one. Until then, I'm also going to be at SBC, the conference coming up here in New Jersey. If you haven't gotten your ticket yet, there, Knup23, KNUP23 is the code to get a little bit of a discount, I think, as long as they still have tickets available. But if you're going to be at that show, please ping me. I'd love to say hello to you. I always love when listeners come up and say, hey, Ryan, I heard this show or that show. Makes me feel good because at least I know I have one or two listeners out there. So that's always a good thing. All right. If you want to follow me, I'm Ryan Newpole, Knup, KNUP, out on most of the socials. Hope you're all doing well. Take care. Stay safe. Enjoy the NBA playoffs. We're getting down to the semifinals in each conference. So should be great time in sports to see where that leads. All right. I'll let y'all go. Take care. Stay safe. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.